So the other day, I'm in the bookstore with my friend, and I'm telling her how much I did not like Lola and the Boy Next Door because I've seriously been griping about that for the last week. And she tells me, because she's read the series and she's a fan of basically all the books, she says, oh, read Lola and the Boy Next Door, because she didn't like it as much as she liked Anna and the French Kiss, and usually we're on opposite sides of the spectrum as far as what we like and what we don't like. If she likes something, I usually hate it. If I like something, she usually hates it, that kind of deal. So I picked up Lola and the Boy Next Door because she mildly disliked it, which meant that I was probably going to mildly like it. No. To be fair, I do not hate Lola and the Boy Next Door. I dislike it about as much as I dislike Anna and the French Kiss. I just dislike it for different reasons than why I dislike Anna and the French Kiss. More than I dislike this book, I'm just really underwhelmed by it. Here's my thing. In theory, Lola and the Boy Next Door is exactly what I think a love story ought to be. It's about two people who like each other, who are trying to figure out, one, if it's okay to like each other, two, how it's okay for them to like each other. Like, in what way should they like each other? There's no reason why I shouldn't like that. I love a good plain love story that's about two people trying to figure out how the heck to like each other. I live for that type of stuff. My problem with Lola and the Boy Next Door is that there's so much unnecessary filler that the plot, that part of the actual plot, gets bogged down by it. And the parts that are filler are parts, or characters even in most of the case, at least in my opinion, that should not be considered filler. Max and Lindsay and Nora were background noise to me. The story would have worked just as well, if not been better, if Lola had just been a regular teenage angsty girl with two really strict parents, no degenerate mother, and no creepy boyfriend, because her boyfriend is creepy, and this is why. He's a 22-year-old man who, innocently enough, meets a girl that he thinks is cute and interesting at one of his band shows. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with this entire situation is when he finds out that she's 17 and doesn't run from the hills. And there are two big reasons why he should run for the hills in this situation. One is because she's 17 and a child, and you're a 22-year-old man, and that's just kind of gross. And secondly is that she lied to you. Not lied to you about something that doesn't really matter, like, oh yes, this is my natural hair color, but she lied to you about something that could very easily land you in jail if one of her really strict parents finds out about it and reports you to the police for basically statutory rape. Instead of breaking it off with her immediately like a sane person would do, he keeps sneaking around and seeing her, and the second she turns 18, literally the same day, he has sex with her. He's a creep. In addition to him being a creep, he's just not a nice guy. He's jealous and he's hurtful. Lola says this in the book, she admits it herself, that Max always knows what to say to make it hurt the most, and that's not healthy. On top of that, he doesn't physically handle her the way you ought to physically handle a person in your relationship. Unless, of course, this is what you're into, in which case, hey, by all means, I'm not here to judge you. The words that Stephanie Perkins uses to describe the interactions between Max and Lola physically are all very violent. Max is always grabbing her waist or gripping her wrists or kissing her hard or kissing her hard enough to leave bruises or pushing her or pulling her or snapping at her. He's never soft and gentle with her, and that's not good. Lindsay, I guess, is just there to reinforce the fact that Lola is full of teenage angst and brattiness because she keeps picking her creepy Humbert boyfriend over the people in her life that actually care about her and want to see her safe and happy. Speaking of her being safe and happy, if Lola's parents are so worried about her turning out like Nora, why don't they ever get her any help for her depression? Like, that's just another instance in these books, which is actually a motif of Stephanie Perkins that I can get behind. Like, I actually like that she continues to point this out in her books. This is just another instance of adults being worried about the completely wrong thing. And Nora, I got nothing. Stephanie Stephanie Perkins also keeps doing this thing in her book. She did it in Anne and the French Kiss, and I talked about it, and she did it again in Lola, and she does it very early on, where she'll make some flippant reference to racism and black people, or things that you relate to black people, and she does it in this very flippant, very casual, ineffectual way, and it never has any bearing on the story as a whole, so I don't really know why she does it. In Lola and the Boy Next Door, it happens early on in the book. She's talking about her dog, Heavens to Betsy, and how Betsy is a black dog, and she wanted to get a black dog, Lola that is, wanted to get a black dog after seeing like an article or something about how black animals were always the last to get adopted from shelters, and that's basically doggy racism or something. And stop! Everything about Lola is just so dramatic, and I don't mean that in the way that you would imagine a costume designer would be dramatic. I mean dramatic in a very negative way. I wouldn't necessarily call Lola problematic like I thought Anna was a problematic heroine, but she's bratty and she's petty and she's a pathological liar. Like, I'm not 100% angry at Max for never trusting her, because nothing that ever came out of her mouth towards him was the truth. She's very good at omissions and just outright not telling you the important parts of whatever it is you need to know, or just telling you the truth about really important things, like what is her actual age. She also has a habit of blowing things way out of proportion. For example, her history with Cricket. The way she talks about her history with Cricket, you're waiting on something really big and really horrible to have happened between the two of them. And what we actually get isn't really all that bad. Even looking through the lens of a 14-year-old, it's not that bad. Lola is so dramatic to the point where it shifts from drama to melodrama. The things that she gets worked up about are very rarely worth getting so worked up about. Two things happen when you have a main character that is that melodramatic. One, they become completely unrelatable. Two, they make everything else in your story seem anticlimactic, because they get so worked up over these things that they get the reader worked up over them too. And then by the time you figure out what actually happened, it's kind of a letdown, because you were expecting something much bigger than what it actually was. And I don't want to make it sound like I want all my main characters to be these perfect little angels, because seriously, that does not make for a good book. But Lola is just, she is melodrama. She is a personification of melodrama. She also does this really annoying thing where she keeps saying, I'm not like other girls, which is a lie. She's exactly like other girls, because she's a girl. It kind of comes with the territory. There are good things about Lola and the Boy Next Door, okay? Like I said, I didn't find Lola to be a problematic heroine. She's a heroine with problems for sure, and she is definitely not a perfect person, but I would not go so far as to call her a problematic character. Stephanie Perkins does have some cool motifs that keep popping up in her books. My favorite one is that adult messes can really interfere with their children's lives. You see this a lot with Lola. I feel like that's part of the reason why she threw herself so deeply into costume, and why as she got older her costumes got more elaborate and her lives get more elaborate. She's basically running from her birth parents and effectively where she comes from. I love the parts in this book, just like in Anne and the French Kiss, where it's just Lola and Cricket. When they're alone together and you're just seeing the way they interact with each other and how their, I guess, mutual crush, so to speak, is manifesting itself, it's beautiful. It's wonderful writing. It's excellent writing. There are so many quotable parts from this book. I made a note of them on my reading blog, that basically all of them came from Lola and Cricket and their alone time. I also really respect Stephanie Perkins' ability to create a love story. When Lola and Cricket are by themselves, that's when her writing is at her best. I think I said the exact same thing for Anna and the French Kiss, but when Stephanie Perkins is focused on her end game, that's when her writing is best to me. It's just that the rest of her story is so bogged down by unnecessary things, in this book more so than Anna and the French Kiss, that it almost overshadows that. And that's really all I have to say about this one, because I was just really underwhelmed by it. I gave it 2 out of 2 stars, same as Anna and the French Kiss, and I honestly don't know which of the 2 books I like more than the other ones. I don't know if I like one more than the other one or dislike one more than the other one. So for the sake of not giving myself an aneurysm, I'm just going to say I dislike them equally, just for different reasons. What did you guys think of Lola and the Boy Next Door? Leave me a comment down below in the box and let me know if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. If there's something here that I didn't talk about that you think should be talked about, let's talk about it. In the meantime, you can find links to my actual written review and to the book on Goodreads down in the box below, as well as links to all my other social medias. Feel free to add me there. I'm always looking for new friends on Goodreads or new people to follow on Instagram. I'm officially out of my YA contemporary romance phase. And I just realized that Scarlett's been behind me this entire time and not Lola and the Boy Next Door, but I am not shooting this video again because this is like the 3rd time. Until next time, bye!